So you did it. You spent the entire weekend on your hands and knees clicking and tapping that beautiful new flooring into place. You stand back, you're admiring your work, and that's when you see it. That ugly, glaring gap right at the doorway. Ugh. But hey, don't worry. You are definitely not alone. It is a super common problem, and in this explainer, we are going to dive into exactly how to fix it. Oh, it's just that sinking feeling, isn't it? You've completely transformed a room, you're feeling great, but this one tiny detail just screams amateur mistake. It's honestly one of the most common frustrations for DIYers, and it can really take the shine off an otherwise perfect project. And let's be real, the online community, they don't pull any punches. When you see a comment like this from a fellow DIYer on Reddit, you know it's a shared pain. But hey, the good news? A shared problem means shared solutions are absolutely out there.
So what's the culprit here? What actually caused this? Well, it's usually surprisingly simple. You've probably ripped out some old, plush, thick carpet and replaced it with a sleek, modern, but much thinner vinyl or laminate floor. See, the door trim was originally cut to fit that thicker floor, and now, with the new, thinner material in place, you're left with that exposed gap.
Okay, let's start with the path of least resistance. Just fill the gap. This is by far the fastest, easiest approach. It's perfect if you're looking for a good enough solution that just makes the problem disappear from, a normal standing distance. So you've got two main options here. For tiny little gaps, and I'm talking less than a quarter inch, a quality paintable latex caulk is your best friend. It's flexible, which is great, but just remember it will shrink a little bit as it dries. Now for bigger, more obvious gaps, you're going to want something more substantial, like a wood filler. This stuff has a thicker, kind of putty-like consistency that you can really pack into the gap. It dries rock solid, which means you can sand it down perfectly smooth and paint it to match. This Reddit user just sums up the whole philosophy perfectly. Caulk and paint make it what it ain't. It's a classic DIY mantra for a reason, because it works. Look, it's not about achieving absolute microscopic perfection, but sometimes it's the perfect solution for right now. Okay, but what if you want a solution that feels a little more intentional, maybe even a bit more architectural? Well, that brings us to our second option, disguising the gap in a much more elegant way. Everybody meets the plinth block. You've probably seen these in older, more traditional homes and just not known what they're called. Essentially, it's this decorative wooden block that acts as a fancy base for your door trim. It creates this really clean, really classic transition point. And the beauty of a plinth block is that it's not just a patch. It's a legitimate architectural upgrade. It instantly adds a grand, traditional feel to any doorway. But practically speaking, it's also a genius problem solver. It completely covers that gapped area, and get this, it eliminates the need for those tricky, angled trim cuts, which is an absolute lifesaver in older homes where the walls are never perfectly flush. Now, if you're thinking about using a plinth block, there is a golden rule you have to remember to get the proportions right. The block needs to be slightly taller and thicker than your baseboard, and then slightly wider than your door casing. This is what creates that intentional, sturdy-looking base that makes the whole design look deliberate and professional. All right, we've filled it and we've covered it. Now let's talk about the method that flooring professionals and, those hardcore DIY perfectionists will tell you is the only right way to do it. Replacing the plank and recutting it perfectly. Look, there's just no getting around this one. Across all the forums and professional guides, the expert consensus is that a filler, or a block, is, it's a workaround. For a truly seamless, invisible finish that's going to stand up to close inspection, the only real solution is to pull out that badly cut piece and just do it over. And I absolutely love how this Reddit user frames the choice here. It's about short-term pain versus long-term annoyance, right? Yeah, it's a hassle to replace a single plank. I get it. But is it more of a hassle than having that ugly gap catch your eye every single day for the next 10 years? For a lot of people, that 20 minutes of extra work is well worth the permanent peace of mind. So fixing a mistake is one thing, but learning how to prevent it from ever happening again, that's where the real power is. Let's talk about how to get that perfect, gap-free finish on your next project right from the very beginning. So while your cutting skills are definitely important, the real secret to a flawless finish around a doorway, it lies in the prep work. It happens before you even think about laying that first plank. This right here, this is the technique.
It's a game changer. You take a scrap piece of your new flooring, you lay it flat on the subfloor right next to the door jamb, and then you rest a handsaw on top of it. Then you just cut straight through the jamb. What this does is it removes a sliver of wood that's exactly the height of your new floor, which allows the plank to slide neatly underneath the trim instead of fitting awkwardly around it. The result? No gaps, no cuck, just a perfect professional line.
The key is to make this part of your standard procedure. Just think of it like a pre-flight checklist. Number 1, make sure your subfloor is clean and level. 2, always leave that vital 1/4-inch expansion gap along all the walls. 3, undercut every single door jamb. And 4, remember to stagger your plank joints for stability and, frankly, a much better look. You follow these 4 steps, and I promise you, you will avoid 99% of the most common flooring headaches.
So there you have it. 3 solid strategies for tackling that ugly gap. You can make it disappear with a quick fill, you can disguise it with an elegant plinth block, or you can achieve perfection by redoing the cut. The choice is yours, and really, it all depends on your skill level, your timeline, and, well, just how much that little gap is going to drive you crazy. So, what's your next move going to be?